Joe Biden is committed to picking a female vice president, and Senator Elizabeth Warren and former Georgia gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams say they'd be up for the gig. Now, Sonny, how important is it that this choice is very specific for his campaign right now? Do you think it's important for him to say who it is or to continue to check things out?
Listen, I think it's very important. As a lot of people say, you know, the VP pick is it isn't an incentive, it's a thank you. And I think it should be a thank you to Black women. I think Black women are going to have to carry the load in this election like they always do. We are their strongest voting base, and half of Black women live in states where I think they are going to obstruct the vote. I think there won't be mail-in voting, so that means that Black women are going to have to risk their lives during this pandemic to vote. They're going to have to bring their sons and their brothers and their fathers and risk their lives to vote. And so I think that you know, we've dragged this Joe Biden's campaign really out of the grave in many, in a sense, in South Carolina, and we've earned that spot with our loyalty for decades. And so, in my view, he should pick a Black woman. I think that Stacey Abrams, of course, is a good option, although she hasn't held office, and so that concerns me. I think Kamala Harris is an excellent choice. But I think it should go to a Black woman with experience.
Megan, you said some possible choices are probably out of the running.
Yeah, I mean, I know that Governor Whitmer of Michigan was on his short list, but I think right now there's actually a recall count for her to be removed as governor with over 150,000 signatures. And I always think if you can't win your home state and win over your home state and bring it in an election cycle, then you're probably not going to be the person that they're going to choose. This horse race stuff with VP picks is always, to me, like it's like playing roulette. Like it could be anything and anyone. And I think as the coronavirus plays out, the only thing I'm 100% sure of is it has to be a deeply serious person. And to Sonny's point, I think holding office and having executive experience in an elected capacity is going to be something that's very important to him and very important to the American public, just given that we are seeing what happens when, you know, an emergency task force is made up of people like Ivanka and Jared. We see how it's playing out. And I think the American public are really going to be looking for experience and people that have gone through crises other than this COVID one.
Right. What do you think, Joy?
Well, he's already closed the door on anybody who's not female, so we're only dealing with female possibilities here. And then, as Sonny said, probably it should be a Black woman for exactly what she said. I don't want to repeat it. I think she was right about everything she said. But you know what I'm noticing? That Stacey Abrams and Elizabeth Warren both have put their cards out on the table and very assertively have said, I want to be your vice president, Joe. And I thought that was so refreshing. You know how they always say, oh, women can't be too aggressive, too pushy. In this case, they have said, I want the raise. And I totally appreciate that about the two of them. And both of them would make great vice presidents, either one of them. And so would Kamala. And, right. And I would vote for, of course, I'll vote for any of them.
I just want to mention that, you know, I do also appreciate that those two women have said, I'm up for the job, I want the job. But if you look at what Kamala Harris has recently done, she just introduced the Vote Safe Act of 2020. It's a sweeping bill that provides states $5 billion for coronavirus-related voting reforms ahead of the election, and it aims to inspire states to take their own action. And so when you look at, you know, two people that are saying, you know, I want the job, you see someone else that's actually pushing forth an agenda, and I like that. I like to see that action, and I think that speaks volumes.
I agree with Sonny on that. I actually think that she might be gaining more right now. Even when she came on the show, she was saying this isn't the time or the moment. I mean, she's a senator from the second biggest state in the union. And I think there's actually a difference between Stacey Abrams and Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren was just asked by Rachel Maddow, would you consider being vice president? She just said yes. Stacey Abrams is basically like listing off her resume and saying she's like been, and I'm paraphrasing, but like reading up on foreign policy for her entire life. So I do think there's like different levels of lobbying. And for me, I'm really appreciating Kamala's tone and tenor right now. And it's not that women can't be assertive and lean in and ask for what we want. I just think we're in a historical pandemic And I also agree with Sunny that I like what Senator Harris is doing.
Well, personally for me, I just am really glad he's taking his time. I'm glad he's not being rushed by the media or anybody else, and he's not showing his hand, and nor should he. So I'm thrilled about that.